Hit and go live. All right. We should be live now. Law, we're on your channel. How about you welcome us in?
All right. Well, hey, you guys know how it goes, man. We're going to talk a little draft. We're going to talk a little the people that's on our team, and we're going to talk free agencies. We're going to talk about Earl the Pearl, see if we can be able to get him. We got a lot of things to talk about, guys. So with that being said, I'm Law Nations and Big Game. Tell them who you are, where you at, man.
Hey, just Big Game James. Y'all know, if y'all ain't been hearing and checking it out, we pretty much on everything. Silver and Blue Nation, Big Game James. Check us out on Facebook. We stream every Sunday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check that out. We're talking always Cowboys football. Check us out on YouTube. We got Instagram, our Twitter, everything Silver and Blue Nation. You can check out my page, Big Game James. I don't got no YouTube page like y'all, but that's in the works. But right now, you can just check out the page. It's hot. You know how it is. Uncut, raw. We don't give a hell. That's what we go.
Yes, indeed. And DDP, tell them what that means, man.
All right, yeah. You can find Dallas Prospect, me, at dallasprospect.com. You can also find us on YouTube. We're actually closing in, I think, on like 600 subs, so that's pretty cool. Just a couple months ago, we were still sitting, I think, like 100 or something. So it's definitely starting to take off, and that's really cool. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. So yeah, I'm ready to talk a little bit of draft stuff. I actually haven't gone live since the draft concluded. So what'd you guys think, Law? What'd you think of the draft as a whole for Dallas?
Well, collectively, I don't do draft grades. To me, is allegory. It's not nothing that's important, because 3 years from now, they're going to come out with, hey, what if this team would have selected this guy? Or what if this team would have did that? So what my thing is, looking at the entire draft, at first, the first pick, I'm going to say this, a lot of fans going to come out here, and this is my opinion, and this is my thoughts too as well. A lot of people get into their feelings, and they sitting here saying, well, what, you going to be wrong, Law? You're going to be upset that that we're right and you're wrong. Guess what, damn it? I want to be wrong. I want him to succeed. I'm not like the fickle fans out here wishing and hoping that a player fall on the sword and be out of the league. What I'm saying is that give it time for any player to grow and give it time for a player to develop. But at the same time, from what I can see with my eyes, he just had a problem with disengaging, shedding blocks and stuff like that. Now, will he be able to grow? Yes. When I'm talking about LVE, I think that the kid has an extremely high upside. And I want the best for everybody that we've drafted in this draft, especially Connor Williams. I like that pick. I like the Dorrance pick too as well. All these guys out here, we want them to succeed, especially the Michael Gallup kid. Oh, my goodness. He can create separation. He can find those loose space. And a lot of times, too, as well, people think that separation is like Randy Moss. No, there's other forms of separation as far as leverage, catching the ball through traffic. Those are things that we like to see. But we still, with this team, I still think that deep down in my heart, we still need to have a veteran safety out there. If anybody's saying that, well, they pitching a 10 on Xavier Woods, granted, he do have a high ceiling. He does show a lot of promise out there. But the thing is, with Xavier Woods, when you're in your second year, you're going to see second-year mistakes. So why not get a veteran guy that can come into the mix to help this team out collectively? And that's all I'm saying. But from there, I like the draft all together collectively. It's a good draft, and especially the Austin guy.
The trade for Tavon Austin?
Yeah, I do. I hear a lot of people in the comments saying, "Well, he's washed up. He's not good."
No,
to me personally, he's light years ahead of Lucky Whitehead, and he's a better Ryan Switzer on a reverse sweep. So if anything, we getting a better player altogether. So I like that deal. And then Jahad Ward, to me, I don't like him playing over the center, but hell, he's a good rotational piece at that 3-tech. He's going to be able to push that pocket in. Now, he don't have the fastest burst off the line, but what I can see is, hey, he's going to rotate in. He's going to be fresher than the next guy, and we got a good stud that's going to come into the mix. We still need a fat plug that's in the middle that can collapse the pocket. But maybe Rob Marinelli, maybe the defensive staff are going with more of a finesse look and have these finesse guys to have that NASCAR package to chase the quarterback and get crash upfield and create turnover. That's the only thing that I can think of. Maybe teams are not going to try to run up the middle.
Yeah, something else cool on Tavon in particular that you mentioned. So he was set to make $7 million for this season, and I guess technically he still is. But the Cowboys, even if he plays in all 16 games, Dallas is only on the hook for $3 million of that salary. So they got him at a really affordable deal in that regard. And seeing as how they view him more as a running back for them, you're talking about a third down receiving back who can line up outside, which is the exact kind of tool that I've been wanting the offense to incorporate. And, you know, he also gives you depth at the slot or anything like that if you need it. He's never panned out in the pros like he was in college. In college, he was a monster, just wrecked games. But he's still fast, elusive, and just tremendous feet. Like, the dude's explosive, certainly. And if you can put him in the right situation, maybe that can be a worthwhile acquisition for sure.
No doubt. Big game. What you got?
Well, just listening to y'all, if we're just talking about the draft, if you're looking at our picks from top to bottom, you know, we were there when they selected LVE. You know, I was frustrated for the simple fact that we had Tremaine Edmonds right there at our grass. We also had Derwin James right there, like a couple picks ahead of us, where we could have possibly wheeled and dealed and still probably could have got LVE in that second round and still made a coup with one of those guys. So I think that was my frustration with that. And just, you know, my thing more than anything, you know, just watching this tape and watching the games, it wasn't really more so you know, he's a good fast twitch athlete. He can, you know, he can trail, he can blitz, he's got good size. But like you said, Law, if you look at a lot of the games and he wasn't playing like the top notch competition, he was getting swallowed up, getting washed up. When he filled the hole, he was getting washed out by these offensive guards and tackles on these pulling plays. That can't happen in the NFL, and especially when you're playing with that size, 260 pounds, you definitely can't be getting swashed like that. If Jerry Jones is comparing him to Rolando McClain, remember when he played at Dallas, that wasn't happening. He wasn't getting swallowed up. He was our thumper, and that's the reason why we loved him, because he brought that presence in the middle with that size. So with that being said, I worry a little bit about that, and I still worry about that neck. I mean, he's had it since the sophomore year. He's going to wear that neck thing in his career with Dallas as well. So to me, anybody who has a neck injury and plays in the NFL and is a linebacker, I'm going to have concern with that, and that's always going to be in the back of my head. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's a concern, but if you do look at his overall game, his arrow is pointing up. We just hope Sean Lee and those guys can get them together. And just like you said, Law, if you look at from top to bottom, our draft was good. It was a godsend getting Connor Williams as the offensive tackle. He's going to be the fan favorite. Everybody loves him, especially playing with Texas. I mean, he's going to be like the hometown boy, and he's already eating into the Dallas Cowboy fanhood. So he's already becoming a fan favorite, and he can come in and solidify that left guard position. That would be great. Then you got, as you said, Gallup, who I loved from the very beginning. He was one of my number one receivers I liked. DJ Chark came in behind him, but those were the two guys I liked. If we didn't get Chark, Gallup was the guy I wanted, and we did get him. Strong hands, just like you said, short area quickness, can make plays after the catch, and it's just plays strong, and I feel like he plays with the attitude. And I think that's going to be good on the offensive side of the ball, along with Allen Hurns. I think they'll give us a good attitude team in a positive way. And then Schultz, I like Schultz from the tight end spots. Great blocker. If you've seen a lot of his tape, he's a great blocker, and that's what we need. We always complimented Jason Witten on his blocking. If you look at Schultz in his tape, he didn't have a lot of catches. I think he had 55 catches last year, but huge blocking, and we're going to need that in the fold as much as we like to run the ball. And then just all along down the line, Dorrance Armstrong, 10 sacks his sophomore year. You can use him as a hybrid. Then you got Cedric Wilson, who's a 6th-round pick, but 6'3", 200 pounds. He played at Boise State. You know he's probably going to get a chance. And then the biggest guy guy that I think is going to be a steal is Bo Scarborough. That's our battering ram who I've been wanting for a long time. He can flow straight off Zeke, and just to have him, that's Derrick Henry 2.0. Maybe a poor man's, but if we could keep him healthy, man, and Zeke killing them, and then you can bring him in as a battering ram, I think we did pretty good.
Yes, indeed, man. Just to tie a bow tie on that, man, guess what, guys? You got Rod Smith in the background, right? And then you turn around and you have Bo Scarborough. You put him in the mix. And then Jameis Olawale, man. Now, even if you don't say the team get creative, even if you just play some old-fashioned football, most teams are designed to stop the pass. We understand that. But if this defense can play any better than they played last year and get beyond 8 overall and get to, let's say, 5 or 4 overall in defense, oh, my goodness, boy. It's just going to be medieval out there.
Well, I'll tell you what else. Law kind of excites me. I hope he is healthy, but I've been hearing about the Redskins with Terrell McClain. He was somebody I did not want to lose. He was somebody I wanted us to re-sign when he was up for free agency because he had finally had that year where he was healthy with us, and him and Malik Collins were monsters in that middle. And they one of the reasons why we were the #1 rush defense in 2016. And now because he didn't have a fit, Washington, they just pull guys from us, and I don't even think they really want our players. I think they just hate us and they just want to spite us and just take our players because nobody ever leaves Dallas and goes to the Washington Redskins and does good. So he wasn't a fit. So after only 1 year, he's cut, and now he's only 29. We need to see if we can bring him back as our one tech, and then you can sprinkle in the Brian Price kid that we brought from Green Bay. Even though he's not a name guy, he did plug the middle. He was stepping his game up until he got hurt. And the other kid named Richard Ash that we had got from Jacksonville a couple years ago, he's another guy who I was really dogging during the year, and he basically stepped his game up and was basically given a good inside presence. So Dayton Jones, I'm not saying none of these guys are like world beaters, but it does give us a good solid mix as far as some one techs. I really feel like we need to get McClain. And he'll come back cheap. They signed him big. He'll come back cheap. So really hope we look at that as far as the defensive side goes.
Man, yes, indeed, man. So if you put those two punches together, man, maybe we have something up there on the middle plug. But I still have my reservations, which rightfully so I should, because Ash, I've seen Ash play like trash, and I also I've seen McClain also roll over and use the famous word of Voch Lombardi, roll over and go ouch, So
you don't like McClain though?
I like him. He's decent. I'm not. I'd rather go out and get a. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, Law. He ain't a world beater, but as long as he can keep Malik Collins from playing that one tech and keep Malik Collins at the 3 tech, because that's his spot. Because you saw when Malik had to go play the 1 tech, that's when we really suffered on the defensive side of the ball, because he's not that guy, and you can tack him up the middle because he's not the guy that's going to be stout up that middle. So a guy like him, just like I said, a plug guy, somebody that can hold us down in that 3rd and 4th quarter, and David Irvin can swing also in that D tackle position when we need him. So it'll be formidable. You can still move Tyrone Crawford if they keep him. I think they should cut him and probably go after somebody else. That's what we should really do.
No doubt, man. Especially like Latuate out there. I think that's how you say his name. If I butcher his name, so what? Sue me. The other guy that's out there, Jonathan Hankins, big plug that you can just
nobody's
put in the middle.
Talking about him,
huh?
I said nobody's even trying to talk to him. I'm tripping off that.
Hey, the reason why I'm saying this is because that will create free lanes for your guy LVE. Yeah. They'll create free lanes for Jalen Smith. I don't know why the defensive coach never think of that. Somebody they're gonna demand somebody to double team.
Yeah,
everybody eat.
Yeah, I just think that, they want to, I think you said it earlier, Law. I think they're trying to go with that quick defense that, Ron Marinelli, if you really look at his defenses when he had Tampa Bay and even Chicago, he never had really big, huge guys. Even when his 3 and 1 techs, they were never huge, but they were guys that were quick off the ball, guys that could penetrate and get in the backfield. That's what he really likes his 4 down lineman to do, is be able to, if he can get pressure with his 4 and not have to blitz, that's ultimately what Ron Marinelli loves. He doesn't want to have to blitz you.
That's deep. So big not big game, Jane. DDP, man, we just going on without you, man. What's good?
Man, I'm good. So I had something to add on the Van Der Esch thing earlier. It sounds like part of the deciding factor between him and Rashaan Evans from Alabama was that they felt like in their scheme, it's more important for the linebacker to be able to kind of drop back into coverage, which edges for Leighton Vander Esch over Evans. They felt like Evans was more of a blitzer run stopper, and in that sense, they felt like Vander Esch worked better, and it would be easier, they thought, to kind of coach him up to do better against the run than it would be to try and take like Evans and teach him about dropping back into coverage more and all of that. That was my understanding of it. That makes some sense, but I don't know. I think they also, part of it was they looked at what we call the underwear Olympics, the fact that in everything that I think Vander Esch did the entire combine, whereas Evans only did a handful of things. But even in the things Evans did do, it was still a situation where Vander Esch actually edged out, or even in some categories comfortably beat comfortably beat Rashaan Evans head to head in that. And so I think that's kind of interesting. I do worry a little bit about them grading underwear Olympics too much, because I'm still a little bitter about the choice of Byron Jones over Landon Collins, but it is what it is. I think he's got potential, but yeah, he needs to work on his technique, and he tackles too high a lot of times, and I think that's going to lead to lower body injuries as well, which is something we don't even bring up.
Well, hey, we'll see, because at the end of the day, coaches are designed to coach up players to make sure they out there right and properly. I was watching the news earlier today when I was dropping my daughter off from daycare, or picking my daughter up from daycare. They were saying that the NFL new tackling rule, with the dipping of the head, that they now have to implement everybody, because it's going to be on both sides of the ball. Even the running back can't dip his head and drop his shoulder, what have you. Well, you can drop your shoulder, but if your head dips, it still be a 15-yard penalty, which can be, so it can be one of those weird, quirky little things where Ezekiel Elliott running into the end zone and he dip his head and hit somebody. They say, well, flag going to play 15 yards. And now they want to just change the whole philosophy of how you explode and hit and tackle on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, this NFL, they always try to figure out a way to make the game even longer. To me, I just feel like, the CTE thing, that's very special. We want players to be safe out there. But at the same time, if you're talking about injuries and this sort of thing, it may be increasing this year, because now you're going to have players out there thinking. And one thing I don't want to say, and I know it took me forever to get around to this point, but one thing I don't want to happen, I don't want my second year players and my rookies out here thinking. I want them to fly out and explode to the ball and understood what they was taught in middle school, what they was taught in high school, and what they were taught in college, to explode and hit. I want them to do that. Now, I don't know how this year going to pan out as far as that, but just my thoughts, it's just my opinions, but they're going to have to fix that up.
Yeah, definitely. I know one thing. I seen them 70s, I seen the 80s, I seen the 90s, I seen this, and as you said before, Law, I don't know. It didn't seem like it was. Maybe I was naive and didn't pay attention. It seemed like there was way more injuries back when I was younger, watching them playing this crazy wild football where it was real, it was serious, like it was really contact football. And just like you said, now you have it to where these guys are thinking before they hit you, and even when they do hit you, they don't know if they hit you right. They don't know if they should hit you up top, hit you low, and if they hit you low, they're like, "Oh, you hit my knees, you're dirty." And so now it's like they could call anybody a dirty player. It's just like you said, they're prolonging the game, and the more that they keep on trying to change the rules, it looks like there's more injuries. I think if you look at the statistics last year, they had one of the highest injuries in the NFL in a very long time, because it seems like these guys are not practicing as much, and it's like they don't want you to practice because you don't want to get hurt. But my thought was that whenever we played Law, whenever I coached, you always wanted to practice and hit, because when you didn't hit in practice and then you played in the game, you got your ass kicked, and that's what always would happen. So we always practice and we hit, and we didn't worry about the threat of injuries, because in the game you're going to get injured anyway, somehow, some way that can happen. So don't hit during the week and then hit during the game. No, that's how you get hurt.
Yes, indeed, I agree 1,000%.
Hey,
there it is.
Shout out in the comments, Ace MMO. He was asking basically the apparent thing with Gallup being somewhat critical of T. Will and body catching earlier. Now, I didn't see anything to that other than just saying he doesn't like body catching. Like, that's all it was, right? I'm not missing.
Yeah, I don't think he was. Right. Yeah, he wasn't getting on T. Will. I don't even think that was a shot towards him at all. I think he was just saying that, look, if you guys are looking at me a receiver, I don't catch with my body, and I feel like he was saying that to all receivers. Anybody who does that. Every receiver in the world is supposed to not catch with your body. So he's talking to every receiver that does that. So it shouldn't be T. Will. It's just T. Will's got that rap because he does catch with his body. But he's just really saying in his confidence, like, look, I don't body catch. I use my hands when I catch, and that's not what I do. And people just want to make a story about it. It's a non-story. Nothing there.
Yes, indeed. And let me tell you guys out there, the best body catcher of all time was Michael Irvin. So he catch the ball with his body, but it's times to do it and it's times not to do it, basically.
How many times have we seen Michael Irvin jump up in the air catching a pass and he didn't have to do it? I mean, we've seen it plenty of times. That's what Terrence Williams does. I ain't saying he no damn Michael Irvin, but what I am saying, he does have the alligator arms. He is frustrating when you do see that and you wonder why does he keep doing it. But at the end of the day, I kind of think that's who he is. It's like 5 years in the game now. Once you kind of did that all your life, that's what you're kind of going to be. So I think people should just kind of just leave him alone about catching with his hands because he ain't never did it. So why is he all of a sudden going to start doing it now? This is kind of who he is.
Right.
He is sweet feet, though.
He's sweet feet, body, alligator arms, whatever you want to call them. But they love him.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I think the Gallup thing is a non-story. I think that's people searching for something to stir up just to have something of interest to talk about. Because I saw a couple people who did, like you said, post it kind of stirring things up. And I kind of thought about it. I was like, did I miss something in that article? Like, was there a sentence or two that I missed where he actually said, especially that T. Will guy?
Right. Like, I'm talking to you, Terrence Williams. I don't body catch. Like, come on, dude. How are you going to endear yourself to your teammates and you're a rookie and you go out there slandering people on the team? That's not how you endear yourself to your team. So that's not what I believe his actions were when he said that. He's just basically stepping up and letting them know that, look, y'all drafted me. Watch my tape. He catches with his hands, and that's what I think that's one of the reasons why they drafted him, because he does catch with his hands. He goes after the ball. When he gets the ball, he's already in motion, and that's why he was good with yards after catch.
Yes, indeed. And I come from an era, you start talking all that stuff when you're a rookie, and if he was directing to somebody, hey, lights out, soap. No, they'd take that soap. They'd take that soap and put it in a sock, and then you wet that sock a little bit. They don't know about that soap in the sock, though. That's for those who out there who played the sports. That little hazing situation. I don't know if they know about that, but neither here nor there. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, that Michael Gallup kid, oh my God, he's gonna have a lot of name drops. I mean, like he's ESPN first take gold because he talk. That brother right there can talk, and he got a little Jalen Ramsey in him. So I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Confidence. No, you know what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So he gonna have a lot of talk. I can't wait till when we play the Jaguar. I can't wait to see him and Jalen Ramsey. Just the talk match. It's gonna be real deal Holyfield. He don't back up, like he don't fold up now.
Yeah,
that's what you need. I mean, like I said, I'm not making. I told you, Law, I'm not making the absolute comparison, but I feel like he's like an Anquan Bolden to me, a poor man's Anquan Bolden. Anquan Bolden. If you know anything about Anquan Bolden, he was a cocky sucker too. He was a guy that didn't take no trash from nobody, and he got stronger when he got more into the game. Talking to him got him more into the game. It made him stronger. It seemed like it made him play better. It looks like Gallup could be one of those guys that he really feeds off the talking, and it really makes him get more into the game. And I feel like he's still under control. I think the problem we were having with, we talk about with Dez is we love Dez's emotion, but you had to be controlled. It had to be at the times when we needed. Like, you can have the emotion, but it's got to be controlled where it's not hurting your team. And I think that's where Gallup maybe separates a little bit right now, is that he has that talk, he has that swag and that emotion, but it doesn't look like it's a detriment to the team.
Yes, indeed, man.
I mean, he didn't even have a good quarterback at Colorado State, but he still in the last 2 seasons had 176
crazy
catches
numbers
for 2,690 yards and 21 TDs. So that's with garbage QB play. If you saw I think it was Okoye did a breakdown on him. No. You know what? No, it was Vach I saw who did the breakdown on him. And yeah, I mean, there are several times where you're seeing highlights where he beats his dude off the route, and then quarterback either underthrows it drastically, overthrows it. I mean, just like bad accuracy, basically. He's like, and here's quarterback mess up 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, imagine what his stats could have been, because these are plays where if he catches it, he's gone if the quarterback can just lay it in his hands. So it's I like the production. It's probably like the third or fourth best overall receiver I felt in the draft, and I didn't think we were going to get him. I thought at that point we were going to be into. I thought James's prediction, or his wish list, so to speak, was going to come true. I thought we were going to end up with Chark going into after missing out on the guys we did in the first round. So I like.
See, Chark can't catch it as much, but he got that speed to make you wonder. But let me tell y'all this: on the high end, you can say that Gallup is going to be a Jarvis Landry. Look at his tape. Look how he run in and out of his breaks. On the high end, he's Jarvis Landry.
Very
on the low end,
runner,
right. And guess what? On the low end, he's the guy that's on our team already, Alan Hearns. Believe it or not, just wait for this year to pan out altogether. I think that around year 2, round 3-ish, he's going to be moved all the way out to the X. I think that he can play on the outside. And I'm not just trying to blow V8 or pump up like a cheerleader out here, but it's what I can see out there on this little film that I saw. Big game.
Yes, sir.
Tell him about that Alabama tape.
You talking about when he went against Alabama? Gallup murdered him. I mean, and if you look at that game, it was one of those games where he probably came in with that chip on his shoulder. He was probably feasting, waiting for Alabama. Caught a touchdown. I think he had like 7 or 8 catches for 100 yards, I believe. I think over 100 yards in that game. And like you said, DDP said, didn't have any good quarterback play his whole career or his last couple of years at Colorado State, and had ridiculous numbers. So that's where you get excited, where if you don't have good quarterback play, and he's still making plays without that. So now you see him, you see Hearns. We still have Beasley if he's still going to be there. Then they're talking about the KD Drummond kid. You got Dayton Thompson. And I think that I was kind of low on Cedric Wilson, but I think we kind of need to keep an eye on that Cedric Wilson kid. I think he might be one of them guys that ain't nobody talking about, but he's really sitting there thinking, I want to get this. And I think that's why they get them Boise State players. Like, the Boise State players always have some kind of little chip on their shoulder, like they feel like they should be just with them other teams. So I feel like they really like getting those players because they're scrappy. And no matter what we say about them, and I get tired of them drafting them all the time, but if you do look at when they get the Boise State players that we have, they are very scrappy type players.
And like I said, if you want your child to go to the Cowboys, you want to get looked at. Go to Boise State.
Yeah, he's gonna get looked at. Had any kind of decent career at Boise State, he's gonna get looked at.
If we count the free agent signing of Kellen Moore, that's 6 within recent years.
Right.
So we got Scandrick, Crawford, Lawrence, Moore, Van Der Esch, and now Cedric. So it's definitely a weird trend in that regard. But I'm excited about the change-ups they've made to the receiving core. I felt like they tried to make the offense more Dak friendly. They tried to get a little bit faster, more explosive, and I think they're also going with it where they're not trying to look for like a traditional X, where they're not looking for a superstar wide receiver. They're looking for a bunch of guys that can just win off of their route and just be kind of possession receivers, just kind of keep the chains moving. You got some guys that have some game-breaking speed and all that, with like Tavon Austin, who they'll use as a combo running back wide receiver. But for the most part, I feel like they're kind of just sticking with a kind of conservative method in that regard. And we kind of saw that from the Eagles this past year. I know Alshon Jeffrey's got the jump ball, and he's in that regard a beast. But the rest of their receiving core, they had several nice guys. They didn't have anyone that I looked at and was like, oh wow, that's a dude.
You don't need a number one anymore. I mean, that's overrated. Right. You don't need a number one anymore. Yeah, and honestly, teams ain't trying to pay that kind of money to a number one receiver anymore. So I like what they did as far as getting them in the 3rd round. Now you don't have to pay him all kind of crazy money. Now you don't have that option year, that 5th-year option where you're obligated. What are we going to do? You don't have that now. And I feel like that's what they needed. And Dak is not that quarterback. He ain't a Tony Romo. He ain't Aaron Rodgers. He's not a guy that needs that number one receiver to get all the way down the field to make plays. He just needs good, consistent receivers that can get open, he can get the ball to. And I don't care what anybody says. I still don't think he's going to be throwing the ball deep all like that this year. He's still kind of maybe be a dink and dunk guy. Not really a dink and dunk guy, but I think he's going to be really the offensive rhythm is going to be one of them situations where he's doing. I think you're going to see a lot of no huddle from us this year, a lot of quick reads, those type of things to really keep going back to what he was really good at college. Go back to maybe his 2016 year. You have to see what he was really successful at and build on that, and then open the doors from that aspect. Don't try to make him something he's not. Keep on doing what he's good at, and then grow from there.
Man, nothing but fire, man. You spit nothing but fire and truth, man. Let me ask you this, though, and I'm going to have to put this on everybody that's in the chat box who watch this later. We need to compile a list, truly a real list of how many players that won the Super Bowl, not the coach, but the quarterback, that was like a game manager type of quarterback versus the gunslinger throwing the ball 50 yards down the field type of quarterback. We need to do that. Somebody just need to do the homework and just
I know they're probably on it right now. Jump on it right now.
Jump on it, man.
Get on it right now, because I know you're already going to be in there calculating. I got it. I got it. Ooh, teacher, I got it.
Yeah, I can already tell you. The Terry Bradshaw's, I can tell you, four already. Terry Bradshaw got 4 rings, so Troy got 3, 3 and 4. That's 7 Super Bowls right there. And you got Brad Johnson, that's 8. So it's going to be Trent Dilfer, Tom Brady, that's another 5. But then somebody gonna argue me down, but like when Tom Brady was launching that thing, though, against the Atlanta Falcons. But that was the only team. If you just go back, and just do your quick homework. Just off the top of your head, you're going to say, okay, the quarterback that takes care of the ball, the quarterback that makes the least mistakes 9 times out of 10, and allow his team to win the Super Bowl, like his defense around him, like the Trent Differs of the world. Hey, we still have a chance. Because I read in the comments, some people were saying, man, I sure miss Tony Romo. He used to make those spectacular plays,
And what did we do?
Oh yeah, and this is not a Tony Romo bashing for the Tony Romos out there.
That only came in. That only came in later though. The good Romo years, the productive where the interception touchdown ratio was really strong. That only came 2013 and on.
Yeah, because he was throwing a lot of. That was the knock on him, that he was throwing high. His high interception total was high his first few years. He was having a high. He was hitting around 17, 18, 19 interceptions every year. Yep. And even though he saved us in quite a few games, it seemed like it was those games. He did put everything on the shoulder, seemed like. But at the end of the day, those years when he first came in, when it was 06, 07, 08, 09, we had some good teams there. Everybody's like, oh, Romo never had no teams. That's a damn lie. Yes, he did. We did too have some teams with Romo. We just didn't freaking do what we supposed to do and get over the hump. We choked. That's what happened. Stop saying it was Romo didn't have no damn teams, because when it was 07, we had 13 freaking Pro Bowlers. 08, 09, we still had good players. We still had a good defense. We had a nice defense. That was that year. When you have Brell Parcells getting all those guys, DeMarcus Ware, freaking Marcus Spears, Ratliff, Brady James, all those guys. We had a nice defense. We just didn't do what we needed to do as far as finishing the fight.
Finish the fight.
As the mantra was saying.
Right. And what was one of the years we had 11 freaking Pro Bowlers? 11.
07, we had 13.
Yeah.
Oh, 13? I thought it was 11. I'm 13 Pro Bowlers, man. That's crazy.
And no playoff wins that year.
No wins. Playoff wins. You know what I'm saying? So so as much as you love Romo, he didn't win nothing. So when people always talk about, it's just so many factors. But at the end of the day, he didn't win nothing. I love Romo, but he didn't win nothing. And if you didn't win nothing, ain't no point to keep on talking about how he's one of the greatest ever. We ain't get nothing under him. So everybody just back the hell off Dak and just let us see him work. If he doesn't do it this year, then, hey, you see what's going on. They drafted that Mike White kid. That's somebody who we forgot to talk about, too. If we're talking about the draft, we forgot to mention Mike White.
Yeah.
That kid, I watched him in that Senior Bowl. Now, I ain't saying he's sweet or anything like that, but the dude was good. 6'5", 230, plays big in the pocket, looked real good in that Senior Bowl. I think he could take Cooper Rush's spot permanently as far as the number 2 guy. I really think he can.
It's a battle to the fight.
Last 2 years for Mike White, 63 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. So a very, very productive quarterback there as well. It's not necessarily top shelf competition, but like you said, even in the Senior Bowl, he looked strong, which that's very encouraging. I like the pickup. I think you should take a quarterback every year, honestly.
Yeah, like I said, the biggest thing with us, the Cowboys, we scared to
competition.
That competition. So now I feel like, draft a Mike White. Guess what? Put some fire on Dak Prescott. Even though we're saying he's our guy, you still want to put some fire behind him so he can't never get comfortable. He can't never feel comfortable. So if he's never feeling comfortable, he's always going to want to get improved and want to be better. But if he gets comfortable, that's when they slack. So no, you keep that guy right on his tail, letting him know that if you slip up, your spot could be taken. And that's what it should be across the board for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, indeed. I agree 1,000%.
A lot of agreeing with me today. I like that. I've been spending some good fire today. You like that?
So much. I'm glad I don't have gasoline over here. We've been on fire, blown up.
Cousins in here.
Kirk Cousins.
Man,
Kirk Cousins. Oh, there's Kirk Cousins. I like him. You like that?
Yeah, the thing.
They said a gunslinger, Eli Manning, twice. Ray Charles and Stephen Warner can tell you that Super Bowl was won by their defense, and then also a luck and a prayer. That brother has a rabbit foot. He never walked under a ladder or broke the mirror in his life.
It's the football guys. They love the Mannings. The football guys said, you know what, Archie didn't get a Super Bowl, so I'm gonna give you and your son. I'm gonna give you and your sons 2 Super Bowls. To validate what you did, Archie Manning. Because Archie Manning, I watched him when he was at the Saints. Even though the Saints sucked, Archie Manning was a beast, and he could scramble, he could run, he could do everything. So, like you said, Law, we all know when they won in 2007 against them Patriots, it was that damn front four. That front four, you saw it that last game of the year when they played them and they almost beat them. Then you saw what was like, they could beat them if they play them again. And you saw what they were doing, beating up the quarterback. If that front four can get after you and you don't have to blitz, your defense is winning.
Yep.
Yeah, but let's be real though. 2007. We played them to the wire almost, man. Their front four against our offensive line. Remember, we had 3 Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. And then a lot of people saying, well, Tony Romo didn't have a 1,000-yard back. That's because we had the 2-back system. We had the Barbarian and had the other guy, Felix, who was the first-round draft pick.
Felix wasn't there yet. It was still Julius.
Oh, it was still Julius. I'm sorry. And then the year before that, Julius ran 1,000 yards. So it was still a 2-headed deal going on. But in that drop with Patrick, my mic too high, but that drop with Patrick Creighton, it happened in the third quarter with 3 minutes left on the clock. So he had a whole quarter left. I do know that a lot of people think about like, hey, the drop. That happened in the third quarter. For somebody like an Aaron Rodgers, for something like that to happen to Aaron Rodgers, that's a century. That's a century enough time for him to come back.
But it wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It was Eli.
No, I'm talking about for Tony Romo.
Are you talking
when Patrick Creighton dropped the ball? This was 2000. It's going way back. Some of these kids not even born. This is in the chat box in 2007. Some of them probably was like 8, 9 years old when the game happened. But what I'm saying is that I hate to go all the way back to the 2007 year, but what I'm saying is sometimes you have to manage the game in order to win. Not saying that he didn't manage the game, but sometimes you have your Super Bowl caliber team there, but you have to figure out with the coaching staff and everything else, everything plays into the factor. And if Jason Garrett don't win, and I said all this to say this, guys. I know everybody was like, oh, man, why you pulling up the history? I'm saying that if Jason Garrett don't push this team to get to the playoff this year, it's time for him to go. I don't care. It's time for him to go. We need to all sign up a petition to get Jason Garrett out of here if he don't go to the playoff this year. I'm sorry.
Man, I've been thinking that anyway. I'm completely out of the Garrett camp at this point, and I have been for a long time. I mean, everyone's reaction to All or Nothing. Not everyone. I've seen a lot of people saying they view him differently now, and I'm like, I don't care if he curses. Like,
he's just a yeller.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything about the on-field results. Like, he could drop F-bombs every other word. His record's still the same. The last 2 years has kind of inflated it a little bit, but for the longest time, we're talking about a guy that was barely 500. And we're talking about, everyone who wants to compare him to Landry. Landry within 7 years was in, you know, the NFL championship game. Garrett's never even been to the NFC championship game. So, I mean, it's not comparing apples to apples, sure, but I feel like if Garrett can be successful, it's not going to necessarily be here. If we win with him here, it'll be because either everything finally breaks right or the team was talented enough that it didn't matter. Because I've never seen us go into a matchup where I looked at Jason Garrett and thought, that's a difference maker. That's a win in our column. It seems like anyone at best that we go up against, we're like, well, that's a push. Hopefully he doesn't have to factor in much.
Right. Yeah. And then I'm seeing somebody shout out to Dio. He said Gary's a good coach. Watch all or nothing. I remember vividly. What was that coach that took teams to the playoff and then they got rid of him? Was it the Titans coach?
Yeah.
I know Big Game James had the story on that, right?
What's that?
The Titan coach. Remember, he took them to the playoff
and got the axe. You know what I mean?
But what did they say the reason why they got rid of him? What was the reason why?
I actually don't know the exact reason why. I just know that they wanted Vrabel. He was their guy. He was the guy that they have been targeting, and you see they got some good pickups just because of Vrabel. And I feel like that was a guy that I wanted, to be very honest with you. When he was out there, I felt like that's a guy that we could have got or could have stole. But I did bring this up, Law, and I said this a couple of days ago, that Chris Rashard, I think we really need to keep our eye on him, because if he comes in there and he blows up this year and Garrett fails again as far as the playoffs go, I feel like Chris Rashard will be our coach in waiting.
Okay.
I would be all for that.
And the reason why I say that is because think about how the Joneses operate. They operate by keeping everything kind of in-house. They like to hire within. They don't want to really go too much on the outsides because they want to build within. So why not bring a guy who already has kind of like the background where he could have been, or he could have been a coach in waiting? This will be another perfect time for them to groom him. And I believe in my heart that that's one of the reasons why they may have brought him over as well, to see what happens with Garrett. Because I don't feel like Stephen Jones has the loyalty to Garrett, maybe like a Jerry Jones does. And I really feel like if Rashard really blows up and improves with that defense, and we get really exciting and nasty, and we still don't do it, yeah, I can definitely see Rashard being our next head coach for sure. I'm calling it.
They'd be smart to do that, honestly, because no one else. I mean, he's going to eventually get a head coaching job here soon. He's already been a defensive coordinator. He, as we've said many a times, was the architect of the Legion of Boom. Like, all signs are pointing to him within the next probably 3 years getting a head coaching job somewhere anyway. So if Dallas is smart, you know, whether I honestly would consider bouncing him over your defensive coordinator. Like you said, if Garrett gets let go, which, you know, we'll throw that party when that happens, then Chris Rashard should be very, very strong at the very top of that candidate list for who they consider, because it works. I like having the defensive coach more than I like having the offensive coach personally, but of the coaching staff that would stay, he's the only one I could see, you know, staying as far as the noteworthy coaching staff. Should Garrett, his guys get let go, so we'll see.
Indeed. So moving forward with off-season talk, with expectations. Just coming around this offseason, what are you guys' expectations of the offseason? What do you guys want to see happen? What free agency moves you guys want to see, or just in general, what growth you want to see out of a player? What are your expectations, DDP? I'm gonna ask a big game later.
From a free agency standpoint, I'd still like to see them maybe pick up a defensive tackle. I know that they've kind of addressed that, but we were mentioning earlier, like Hankins or someone like that just kind of eats up bodies, stuffs the run. That's good, because that's one thing that I feel like was late in the second half last year, we were getting gashed in the run game. And part of that was obviously with when Sean Lee was injured or something like that, guys would just run right at us, run right specifically at Jalen Smith. And it helps if you're kind of plugging up those holes at the point of attack, as opposed to letting a guy get to the second level or, you know, get right to that. So that would be my kind of thinking from a free agency standpoint. I think that they're pretty much locked up beyond that, unless they wanted to do something at safety, because that's another thing they didn't address. they've already made it clear they have no interest in Kenny Vaccaro or Eric Reed. I don't even know if Vaccaro is still on the market, but I know Eric Reed is, and they're not interested in him for their own reasons. But beyond that, for what I want to see from the team, I just want to see these guys getting in and working. I mean, we've already seen voluntary workouts and everything. Tavon Austin's already there working out. I love that. I just want to see him working with Dak, and he's got to get used to a whole new crop of guys. So
yeah, you already know. I like to put up this right too as well. I always like to throw a hook or a curveball at you. Who's going to be your surprise cut from the 53-man roster? Give me one player on the defense and give me one player on the offense. Who's going to be the surprise guy that is going to be gone?
Surprise. Well, my fingers crossed would be Tyrone Crawford on the defense, but I don't know if that would be a surprise necessarily.
That would be a surprise because he's like one of the leaders in the locker room. That would be a surprise.
Okay, well, I'll say Tyrone Crawford for defense. Prior to the Ryan Switzer deal, I would have banked on Cole Beasley just because Switzer's contract and only having been there 1 year. Until they made that move, I was pretty sure that was the direction they were heading, was that they were going to either cut or trade Cole Beasley just because the addition of Tavon Austin, it was just absurdly packed in the receiving core at that point. So that was a little surprising in itself. I would say a surprising cut for offense. That's a tough one. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I like to do it. Go ahead, Big Game. What's your expectation this offseason? Both of your surprise cuts from both sides. Go ahead, give it to me. Give me the thunder, man. I don't want no fluff stuff, man. Give me the thunder, man. Real deal Holyfield, bro.
All right, surprise cut on offense. Rico Gathers.
Oh Lord, okay. Dang!
Yeah,
you bring it on heavy, boy.
Yeah, I come in real heavy. That'll be my surprise cut. Rico Gathers on the offensive side of the ball, and on the defensive side, surprise cut. You said Crawford. I would say Coney Ely.
Woo! Oh, wow. Somebody just put that in the comment box. Dallas Cowboys 92. Y'all thinking, man. So you get rid of Coney Ely, and then you get rid of Rico Gathers.
Yeah, and, those would be my two surprise guys if they got cut.
Ely would definitely be a surprise.
See, you like those surprises, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense though, because if that means these cuts meaning that. Look, this is what the good thing about it. This is the sweet side of everything, right? If you cut Rico, that means somebody is showing out. That means Schultz is showing out during the offseason, right? He balling out doing it out preseason, right? And if you cut Coney, that means Dorrance. I wish his name was Lawrence. That means he's balling out of control. That means he's flying off the edge.
Out there.
Man, I'm telling you, man, that's the only thing. That's my only draw on Dorrance, man. His name should have been Lawrence. So I blame his grandmother or I blame his great granddad or somebody, whoever that named him Dorrance. But they should have named it because he's a junior, so they named his dad Dorrance. But neither here nor there. I'm just joking with you guys. But the thing is, if that happened, that means we're doing some good things out there. Shout out to Dio for the donation to help grow the nation. I appreciate that. Big Game.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this too as well.
Sorry, I got something in a sec, but finish your thing.
Go ahead. Hey, we had 10 interceptions last year. That's by all means that necessary. That wasn't a good number for me. What you expecting this year, man?
As far as interceptions go?
As far as takeaways, interceptions.
Takeaways, that's going to be tough. Interceptions, I don't. We never been a really high interception team. I would see that Jordan Lewis would get more under his belt, and I think Xavier Woods, he was a playmaker. So in saying that, we had 10 last year. I'm gonna up it and say we get 15 this year, and I'm gonna say Jordan Lewis gets at least 3 picks, and I'm gonna say Xavier Woods gets at least 3 picks because, like I said, we got to give Xavier Woods a chance and Kayvon Frazier, even though, we see the perceived limitations with those guys, of course, with Jeff Heath as well. And, yes, we would love to have an Earl Thomas. But how about we just give those guys maybe a chance? Maybe Kayvon Frazier, when he says, you know what, he's tired of hearing all the noise saying he can't cover. He's tired of hearing all the noise saying he can't do this. hey, we had Barry Church, and he was undrafted, and he had limitations, and he's doing pretty damn good in his career in the NFL. So let's give Kayvon Frazier a chance. He's never really had a chance to really show anything because of the rotation or anything like that, or Byron Jones. Now he's going to corner. So now I feel like you might be able to see some of the Xavier Woods show what he showed in college. 14 interceptions in college is not something easy to do. You know what I'm saying? So that shows you have those kind of skills. And he did have one pick in the Atlanta game, and he was there for a couple other plays as far as interceptions go. So I think the arrow's pointing up as far as getting a lot more turnovers. And whatever we want to say, and I've dogged Jeff Heath too, he gets picks, he gets interceptions, he gets them timely when we need them the most.
Oh, I thought you were going to say LVE.
Hell no.
LVE.
I'm saying Jeff Heath the GOAT,
baby.
Jeff Heath the GOAT, because that's what everybody, that's the joke. Jeff Heath the GOAT. So
the GOAT. What about you, DDP?
2 bold predictions here. 1, Byron Jones, 3 interceptions this year. Let me get that on camera.
God, man, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think he's got like 2 for his career, so I'm calling a breakout year moving back to corner and working with Chris Rashard, and just the help he has basically with the young corners they got now. Additionally, I'm gonna say this is the one where I feel like I'm stepping probably even a little further out maybe. I think by year's end, your ex-receiver is basically going to be Michael Gallup. I think he's basically going to be the number 1 by year's end, but we'll see on that. I also
you're right, because the only person that I can really see playing at X outside of anybody on this roster will be Noah Brown. He's the only guy that's got the physique and the size and the temperament to play on the outside of Allen Hurns. And I think that although Allen Hurns wanted to play on the outside, I just didn't see it. I saw film. I just didn't see as much as him lined up as the X position. Yeah. But I'm hearing a lot, and I'm talking about hearing a lot. David Robinson, if those who don't know, he's the wide receiver route guru. He is working extremely hard with Noah Brown, and this might just be one of those years. Yeah, he got all the measurables. People got to forget. People need to remember that with Noah Brown, when he came out of Ohio State, he only played 1 year of college. So it wasn't like he was a seasoned player when he left Ohio State. He was like a baby. I mean, I'm out here in Ohio. I saw Noah Brown play, and I seen when he tore it, when he demolished Oklahoma that game, and you can see the potential that he had, but he was still so new to the position. He's still growing into it. And just like you said, you get a guru like Robinson that's been working with him, and he's been really one thing I know about Noah Brown, we had his strength and conditioning coach in the studio from Ohio State, and he was taught very highly of Noah Brown, and he said that guy works. He said he doesn't take any plays off. He works hard, and he's an extremely humble kid. Those type of things will work good for you as far as if you're trying to go far. And the fact that nobody's ever really talking about Noah Brown, I believe he's sitting there thinking, keep on not talking about me, and I'm going to come up here and surprise people.
Nice.
There you go.
Very nice. I saw something interesting come across just a couple minutes ago while we were on here. According to Adam Schefter, Dez is drawing almost no interest around the league. Multiple teams aren't even willing to offer him a veteran minimum.
Do you think it's the all or nothing movie? I mean, do you think that has something to do with it?
That can't be helping, because you're seeing an inside look at the behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of what we're seeing is not looking all that great.
Right.
And from my thoughts, the media had access to that tape weeks and weeks before we got a chance to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You think right now, well, man, he probably should have took that deal at Baltimore when they're offering him at least $7 million. But it's still people can get hurt. People, he may not draw any interest now. Then you never know. You go to camp and it's just one injury away, and the next thing you know, sure, Dez Bryant is getting a call. Somebody blow Achilles tendon. Next thing you know, Dez Bryant is a hot commodity on the market again. So that's just the way it happens. And the way the NFL goes, there's going to be injuries. So Dez Bryant is going to have a job. Oh, yeah. I would be crazy to think Dez Bryant not having a job and not being on an NFL roster in 2018.
Fully agree. I would be stunned if in the next 2 to 3 weeks he's not already somewhere. I'm just saying it's interesting because it kind of reinforces, the people who are really upset about Dez getting released here. all they're saying essentially is that he's as good now as he ever was, and
It's not the truth.
Oh, I know it's not. But they'll say that, and they'll say like,
Right.
Dallas dumbest decision they made. He's gonna go light it up with someone next year and go win a Super Bowl or something like that. And I'm like, hey, if he does, great. But the fact that all these other teams are seeing apparently a lot of what Dallas was seeing, and they don't even have the firsthand knowledge that Dallas does, and this many teams just saying like, nah, we're good. That has to mean something, I think.
I mean, just be honest. No, and this is not dogging Dez because he's gone now, but there's no team in the NFL that sit there and looked at Dez and said, he's our missing piece for us to get to the Super Bowl. I can guarantee you there's no NFL team that has said that, and it's not no detriment to him. It's just the reality of the situation. Let's just be honest. Dez had all-world talent, but Tony Romo made Dez better as well. Yeah. Tony Romo made Dez. When you really look at that, that's what really stands out to me is how good Tony Romo made.
Yes, indeed, Tony Romo. Hey, as much as a lot of people would like to dog him, but you got to at the same breath praise him, because Laurent Robinson, if you guys look back at his tape at Jacksonville Jaguars when he left the Dallas Cowboys, my God, he did a Houdini trick. He disappeared down there. Yeah. And Patrick Creighton too as well. We went to the Chargers, disappeared. These guys are doing some magic tricks. They disappeared without Romo. And if you take another look at everything, we had the pieces in places. It's just that we just didn't punch it in. So with that being said, now we turn over a new leaf, and I want to talk about the Connor Williams pick, big game. You still there?
I think we just lost big game.
Well, what I was gonna say about Connor Williams, the little kid, he only allowed a big guy. I meant to say, I didn't see a little kid. He only allowed 1 sack in 3 years.
Yep.
1 freaking sack, and the guy that sacked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that sacked him was on our team. Well, is on our team, drafted. So I mean, we got a formidable front five offensive line, and everybody in the offensive line pretty much got a first round draft grade, Mm-hmm. So, and if anything, we know who Ezekiel Elliott is. We know who Rod Smith is, and we know what a Jameis Olawale can do. And if you put a Bo Scarborough in there, and I do know that people have reservations on his injuries and all this stuff, but if you limit his snaps and all this, who knows, especially running behind his offensive line, he'll have free holes to run behind and be able to punch it on in and just be that bruiser type of guy. Shout out to Vonch Lombardi in the house. You guys follow his page, man. I can't wait to show you guys his film on Connor Williams. But go ahead, Big Game James. Big Game James still ain't here. Go ahead, DDP.
Yeah, I agree. I think Connor Williams was a great pickup in round 2. I think obviously he slides into that left guard spot, and I think it's kind of reminds me a little bit of Ron Leary. I could see the offensive line getting back to being just dominant again. I really liked the pickup from Stanford, the tight end Schultz as well. Great blocker. He's not really known. I'd say he's like a developing pass catcher, but not unheard of. I think James mentioned earlier he had like 55 receptions or something. So. I like what I see out of the Dallas offense. Part of my problem with last year, the previous offseason, they made almost no changes to the offensive side of the ball. The only thing they did was trade out Lucky Whitehead for Ryan Switzer. And other than that, it was the same thing. And, I mean, obviously we know the offensive line. I'm just talking about like the skill players at that point. But I really like this retooling. I think it's a solid retooling. I don't know if it's addition by subtraction in the case of Dez, but I do think that it's something where, as a whole, the offense, the direction they're moving, I feel pretty good about. And I think a lot of it has to do with that offensive line and the pickup of Connor Williams. I think that's going to make them a stout offensive line again.
Oh, yeah. So I can't wait to see everything comes into the fold. And it's going to be nice this year. I'm having high hopes, high expectations, and I'm really feeling that this season is going to be what it is, legit, 1,000%, loaded. Everybody have a chip on their shoulder. Everybody on this entire team, even if you're new on the team, you should have a chip on your shoulder. The way the NFL kind of, denigrated and, cast aspersions on a lot of stuff, not calling hold and all this stuff. They should be ready. It should be locked and loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's see. So we're at about the 1 hour mark here. Is there anything else that you had like immediately on your mind, or a question or something in the comments you wanted to raise or something?
Well, no, not necessarily, but I can read out everybody. Shout out time. Yeah. Shout out to SG Shotty, Dallas Cowboys 92, Mid Scouting Probo. Not Miss Scouting Cowboys, Miss Scouting Pro. Shout out to you too as well. Doxson, Savin, Vonch Lombardi, Ray. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat box, man. It's just been a pleasure us talking about the Cowboys, a team we don't like. We love them, a team that we really want to win the Super Bowl. But we understand that it's a process, not the process that Jason Garrett talking about it, but it's a process being a fan of the team. And it's just also a crazy feeling knowing that if you guys saw the draft, you guys know for sure that the Philadelphia Eagles, they trolling us. They trying to poke fun at us. They laughing. But if you tell any Philadelphia Eagle fan, they still looking up. It's a long way to get to 5 Super Bowl rings. And last I checked, we still the king of the East. We still the beast of the East. We still the best. We got the best fan base in the world. Even though some of those who just kind of jumped off the wagon, we accept all bandwagons too as well. Hey, it is what it is. But that's all the time I have. DDP, go ahead and close out the house, man. You know how it goes, baby.
Yo, if you guys want to check out the Dallas Prospect, you can go to the DallasProspect.com, where you're home for Dallas sports and pop culture. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is at Dallas Prospect. We do this show weekly and always trying to put out some great new content. So if you want to support the channel, support the show and all that, you can find us on Patreon. Anything helps. Anything gets invested back into the show and everything as far as equipment and frequency of uploads. So yeah, I'm excited, man. This is gonna be a fun year. I can feel it.
Yes, indeed. Me too as well. So hey, don't forget to wear your lucky socks, man. Wear your favorite t-shirt. Let's be ready for this year, because we're going to win it all. I'm telling you, I've been saying it. We're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Let's get it going. And hey, shout out to Ty Jefferson. Shout out to Ray again and Renegade and Doxson 7. Hey, it's just been one of those things, guys. And remember, you guys already know you're listening to Nothing But the Bass. Salute. I'm out.
Later, guys.